Yeah, my name's Ally Zlatar. I'm an artist, activist, and academic. I'm a university lecturer at the University of Glasgow. So, for myself, for such a long time, I thought if I was thinner, I would be happier. But instead, the opposite occurred, and I really just became confined to my body. And I had a really bad eating disorder for over 10 years. Every ounce of your being is dictated by the illness. So it literally starts off for me like waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning, doing a 2-hour workout and thinking constantly about what food I'm going to eat, what clothes am I going to wear, how am I going to avoid these certain conversations, or how am I going to say hide from staff meal nights out. Or it's really just everything you're doing in your life, no matter if it's, I'm going to say, pleasing the eating disorder and saying, oh, you're having less calories. Well, it's never good enough. So then you have to have less and less and less. And even when you feel like you have nothing left and nothing left to give the eating disorder, it still wants more. So living with that on a daily basis is really just a constant reminder of how much you neglect yourself in the hopes of trying to love yourself. I was in many different inpatient programs, both in Canada, the UK, and even the Netherlands. I moved a lot. And I found that there was a very common theme of treating patients as patients and following procedures, but not understanding that individual voice and that individual struggle. So if I didn't follow the right protocol, then they just gave up on you. Or even getting into treatment programs, like you have to have a BMI of 15, so that's pretty much the lowest end of the spectrum, and being severely underweight to even get considered for eating disorder treatment. And I was suffering for 7 years before I even got treatment. So you realize like there needs to be a lot more care and attention to this illness because of how deep it can get embedded in someone. And treatment teams don't really understand that. They just see it as an illness and not a person with an illness. I think working with the patient rather than against the patient or even for the patient. I really value the artist perspective and even just creative approaches rather than just the traditional therapy. I found that CBT and DBT for me really didn't get to the root of that pain and that suffering that I experienced. So I love how through my art I've been able to show glimpses into my memories and those fragments. But then they get to see it visually, so then they get to engage more and really understand where I've been and where I'm coming from. Because they may have been there for 10 years or 20 years as experienced psychologists and dietitians, but they don't know my experience. So really just trying to build that connection, I think, is the best way to go forward. I think for me, I have now been in a state of perpetual sadness. Like I felt like happiness was something that was never able to be attained unless I was a certain weight. And that belief was embedded in me for a long time. So I just constantly felt like the work I was doing was never good enough. I needed to work harder, I needed to work smarter. And that was both not only my eating disorder, but then in the rest of my life. And so I felt like even in my art, I had to keep going. I had to share everything. I needed to put myself public and just show the depths of what I've been going through. But then I think that I lost a bit of myself along the way because I felt like I didn't really know where to go because of the eating disorder constantly telling me what you're doing is never going to be enough. So why dig yourself out of a hole? It just gets dug deeper and deeper. So I think that psychologically, it's been a lot. I think that there's a lot of profound sadness within this eating disorder, and at least in my experience, because it's the one thing that was stable, but it's the one thing that's ruining your life. Probably be my childhood teddy bear. I think that's probably the most sincere, but then most authentic way of going about it. I believe like your childhood bear is a reflection of your younger self. And when I was younger, I didn't love myself. And growing up, I've always had this bear as a way of comfort and a way to talk to someone, or as a way to just even get a hug and give that self that compassion you need. And I think that that probably would be all the same things that my eating disorder has done for me. Like, it gave me comfort when I was alone. It cradled me and told me that, you know, you'll be okay if you do these things. And I think that, yeah, my eating disorder would be probably reflected in that childhood teddy bear, because
you painted the teddy bear, huh?
yeah, it's been a very important object. I think it's just a way just to show that I still loved myself and nurtured myself, and that childhood teddy bear has like stayed true to who I am. And rather than going back to eating disorder, just focus on the good.